Thanks so much for all the nice comments on my last video that I did on Baltic style warping. I have had some requests to do a tutorial on Baltic style pickup weaving. So without any further wait on that, I will get started on that. Okay, so I have had a lot of requests on how to weave Baltic weaving once you've warped up, and a lot of you that have seen my warping video have had that request, so I'm going to give it a go. I've got things set up here. Once you are warped up and you're looking straight down onto your warp, you see background threads, which in this case are the white threads, and you see pattern threads, which in this case are the blue threads. Now the warp, depending on whether I have the heddled threads up or the background threads up, changes on how many pattern threads are. Now this particular configuration with the background thread, the unheddled threads up, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 pattern threads showing. If I press that down and then open so that the heddled threads are up, I have I spread it out a little bit. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pattern threads showing. My pattern here has, you read the patterns from the bottom going up. I suppose you could read it from top down, but in my case, I'm going to be reading from the bottom up. On row 1 here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dots. On row 2, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 dots. So this helps me to determine which shed I need to have opened. So if I have 5 dots down on my pattern on row 1, I need to arrange my shed so that I have 5 pattern threads up, in which I do right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not 4. If I'm reading my pattern, it looks like I have 1 pattern thread up. The colored blocks indicate that the pattern threads that are going to stay up. And I have a white block, which means that the colored thread is not up. And then I have a colored thread up and a colored thread not up and a colored thread up. So I'm going to keep 1, 2, 3, and 5 up. So I'm going to make sure I have the 5 pattern threads up. Let me just lay this down here. And I'm going to keep the first one up because that's the first one right here. I'm going to drop the second one. When you're Baltic weaving like this, you do not manipulate any of the background threads ever. Okay, so you're never dropping or picking up background threads at all. You're only manipulating the pattern threads. So I'm going to keep the first one, and I'm going to drop the second one. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to get over, and when you're dropping, you are dropping both threads, so because they're doubled up. So I kept the first one, I dropped the second one, I'm going to keep the third one, and I'm going to drop the fourth one. There we go. And I'm going to keep the fifth one. So I've kept 1, 3, and 5. And once you have that and you're holding that shed open with your fingers, you can pass your shuttle through. I always give it a little snug tap when I do that. I don't pull it all the way through. I leave a little loop here. I change my shed. So now I'm going to pull up the unheddled threads. And this is a little sticky. What I'm using is wool, so it tends to be a little sticky. And then I'm going to just snug that down. And then I pull in my little loop. And as you can see, I have 3 pattern threads that have been woven up. Now I have opened it, so I have 4 pattern threads showing. If you look at your pattern next, I am on row number 2, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 pattern threads showing, because those are the ones that are dotted and they are facing up. And so that tells me that I am on the correct next row. Now, if I'm reading the pattern here, it looks like I need to have the first thread up, the second thread up, the third thread up, and the fourth thread up. So all 4 stay up. But if you see right here where there's a non-dotted purple, that means I have to pull a thread from behind up in between number 2 and 3. So I'll show you how that's done. Let's see if we can zoom in here a little bit. That's as far as I can zoom in. Okay, so I have 4 threads up. We're keeping all 4 threads because if you look at your pattern, all 4 of those threads have dots in them. So we're keeping number 1, we're keeping number 2, but between number 2 and 3, do you see how there's 2 threads here, 2 white background threads? What you want to do is you want to split those in half with your fingers. You just want to pull them like you're parting your hair. You want to pull those apart, and if you look down below, look at that. There's a blue pattern thread right below. You want to kind of manipulate that pattern thread right up in between, and then just hold it with your fingers, and then number 3 stays and number 4 stays. So there, I've pulled up a thread in order to fill that gap on the pattern. So now I can hold that open, put my shuttle through like so, and I'm going to shift my warp again, push down the unheddled threads and pull up the heddled threads to open up the 5 thread. So I'm just going to tamp that down a little bit to tighten it, and I'm going to pull just enough to snug up that weft thread. Okay, so we have done 2 rows. I am now working on a 3rd row, which has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pattern threads. Let's look at our pattern here. It looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is correct. The first one is not colored, which means I'm going to have to drop that pattern thread right there. The second one is colored, that stays. In between the second and the third, I have to pull a thread. In between the third and the fourth, I have to pull a thread. And then the 5th one, I have to drop. Because you only want showing what's in color, and you want dropped what is not in color. So I'm going to be pulling up 2 threads, and I'm going to be dropping 2 threads. Pulling up 2 threads and dropping 2 threads. So here we go with the first one. Let me just pull out a little bit just so I have more. The first one, I'm dropping. So I'm going to just drop that right out. So that's done. The second one stays. Between the second and third, I pull. So I'm going to, again, split the hairs right in the middle. You have 2 white threads. You're going to split those in half. And then down below, right there, you can tell which one it is because right at the base, you can see the color is there. So this is the thread below. Just going to, not the white one, but just the blue ones, pull that up. And then between number 3 and 4, so I just pulled one up, and then between number 3, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, I'm going to pull another thread up right there. I'm going to keep 4, and I'm going to drop 5. There we go. So now I should have 5 threads up in the middle, the 2 end ones dropped, and if you look below, you can see that there have been dropped threads. All right, so now I can throw my shuttle. and change the shed. There we go. I'm going to snug up my end. Oop, a little too tight. You can adjust that as you go. Okay, so I am back to having 4 pattern threads showing. There we go. There should be 4 up right there. Okay, so now we are on our next. So we just did row number 3. Now we're going to do row number 4. And there should be 1, 2, 3, 4 pattern threads showing, which is what I have. Okay, so on number 4, the first pattern thread I'm going to drop. The second one I'm going to keep. The third one I'm going to keep. The fourth one I'm going to drop. But if you see between the first and second, I have to pull a thread. And between the third and fourth, I have to pull a thread. So it'll be drop, pick up, keep, pick up, drop. That's what it's going to be. So the first one's going to be drop. So I'm going to drop that, and then between those 2 threads right beside, sometimes what I like to do, just because it seems to be easier for me, is I like to pick up first. So I'm going to eventually drop the, so eventually I'm going to drop this outer thread and I'm going to pick up between those 2. So I'm going to pick up first because I like to, it helps me to see them better, and then I'm going to drop it, drop that outer one. Okay, so I've dropped and picked up, and now I'm going to keep the next one, and I'm going to keep the next one. I'm going to pick up the next one right here, and I'm going to drop the last one. So there you go. I've dropped, picked up, capped, picked up, dropped. And now I'm going to throw my shuttle. This little loom that I made was the first loom that I made as a practice, and I made it out of pine, and it's warpy, and I have to use rubber bands to hold things in place, and things slide around. It's not the best, but it works. Okay, great. We have done row number 4. Now we're going to do row number 5. 5 threads should be present in your warping, and that's what I have, 5 total threads. And we are going to drop number 1, keep number 2, drop number 3, keep number 4, drop number 5. No pickups in this row right here, just dropping. So we're going to drop number 1, so I'm going to take both of those threads, drop them. I'm going to keep number 2. I'm going to take those 2 threads and drop them. I'm going to keep the next set, and I'm going to drop the last set, and I should have 2 pattern threads up, just like that. And I am going to throw my warp, change my shed. There we go. Okay, on to the next. So we just did number 5. We're going to number 6. We need to have a 4 pattern thread showing. that's what I have. I have 4 pattern threads up. So I'm going to keep the first one, pick up between, keep the second one, keep the third one, pick up between, keep the fourth one. So I'm going to pick up between number 1 and 2. There we go. And I'm going to pick up, okay, pick up between 1 and 2, right there, and I'm going to pick up between 3 and 4. So it should be 3 and 3, which is what I have. And change your shed. Pull up the back. I'm going to snug that up a little bit. Tamp it down a little bit. And it's going to look like you have a couple floaters here because we've done so many in a row that have stayed up, but that's going to tuck in eventually. Don't worry about that at all. Let me show you what I mean. Like this one right here has been floating for a while, but it's going to all work itself in as the pattern advances. All right, so the next one is a doozy because it's row number 7 and it's the 5 pattern threads up, but I'm going to pick up a back thread between every single pattern thread. So in this instant, every pattern that I have is going to be up towards me. I'm going to pick them all up. So let's get started with that. Let's just pull back a little bit. So in between every single thread, I have to pick up a thread. So I'm going to, I've got to make sure that I have both white threads. You want to make sure that you split your hairs between the white threads, and if you can't find them, just go up to where they, so there's my white threads. I'm going to split them and pull up a thread, and then split the next set and pull up a back thread, and split the next set and pull up a thread, and split the next set and pull up a thread, and that should be all background threads up. There should be none behind. There we go. That one is done. Okay, so onward. We just did number 7. We're going to do number 8. We should have 1, 2, 3, 4 pattern threads up. I'm going to be picking up on the outside of number 1. I'm going to be picking up between number 2 and 3 and picking up on the outside of number 4. So there we go. I'm going to need to pick up initially on the outside of number 1, so I'll split those threads and pick up. There's number 2. Number 3 and 4, I'm going to pick up between, so I'm going to split those and pick up. And 3 and 4, and then on the outside of number 4, I'm going to split those 2 white threads and pick up out there. So it should be 2, 3, and 2, and that looks to be right. That goes there. There we go. And then I can throw my shuttle. Sometimes it doesn't look quite right when you have them in your hand, but then when you throw your shuttle, you can see You can see, let's get in close. You can see that there's two little white dots right there, and that's what I wanted to create in my pattern of these two little white dots right there. So the next row is a 5 pattern row, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like we're going to be dropping number 2, and we're going to be dropping number 4. So we're going to keep number 1, 3, and 5. So I should have 5 pattern threads up. I do. I'm going to be keeping 1. I'm going to be dropping. I'm going to be dropping number 2. Keeping number 3, dropping number 4, and keeping number 5. There. I should have 3 pattern threads up. Yep. And change your shed. Okay. Next, we're going to do the same as the one previous. We're going to pick up on the outside. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 pattern threads showing. I'm going to be picking up on the outside of number 1, picking up between 2 and 3, and picking up on the outside of number 4. So, there's number 1. I'm going to split the 2 threads just on the outside of that, and picking up the background thread. There we go. And then number 2 and 3, I'm going to split and pick up the middle thread. And then on the outside of number 4, I'm going to pick up. And there we go. And change your thread, your shed, your thread. Ha ha ha. Change your shed. Let me just snug that up. There. Okay, next in row. And we just finished row 10. We're going to do row 11, and that is just the same as we did down here. We're going to pick up every background thread. We should have the 5 pattern threads up, and then pick up between every one of those. And I have the 5, so I'm going to pick up between 1 and 2, split those white threads, pick up behind. Number 2 and 3, split the white threads, pick up behind. Number 3 and 4, split the white threads, pick up the one behind. Number 4 and 5, split those white threads and pick up the one behind. And then you have all of your pattern threads up. You should have none below. And change your shed. Okay, yay. Next in line. Okay, so we just finished row 11, row 12. We should have the 4 pattern threads up. We're going to pick up between number 1 and 2, and then pick up between number 3 and 4. Four up. Sometimes I just have to work them a little bit to get everything lined up looking nicely for you guys. I don't do that necessarily when I'm working quickly, but it does help, I think, when you're learning. Okay, so I'm going to be picking up between number 1 and 2, so I'm going to split those white threads right there, and there you are hiding down below. And then I'm going to pick up between number 3 and 4. So there should be a 3 and 3 configuration there. I probably shouldn't have done a training on wool, but that's what I had. Okay, so there you go. Everything's picked up, nice and neat. I am going to throw my shuttle and change your shed. Okay, now where were we? We just finished row 12, and now we're going to be row 13. It's a 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to be dropping number 1. I'm going to be keeping number 2, dropping number 3, keeping number 4, and dropping number 5. So drop number 1. Keep number 2, drop number 3, keep number 4, drop number 5. And that is all that row needs. And then change your shed. So we just did number 13. Number 14, we should have 4 threads up. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I am going to drop number 1, pick up between 1 and 2, keep number 3, pick up between 3 and 4, and drop number 4. So this is the one where I like to pick up before I drop. So between 1 and 2, I'm going to pick up. And then I'm going to drop number 1. Between number 3 and 4, I'm going to pick up. And then I'm going to drop number 4. There we go. So I have a new thread on the outside of number 2 and on the outside of number 3. All right, very good. We're getting close to the end of this patterning. So number 13, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to be picking up between 2 and 3 and 3 and 4. I'm going to be dropping number 1 and dropping number 5. So I'm going to be dropping number 1, picking up between number 2 and 3, picking up between number 3 and 4, and dropping number 5. Change your shed. I didn't do a very good job of evening up my weft there. Okay, yay! We did it. Moving right along, we're doing a 1, 2, 3, 4 up. I'm going to keep 1, keep 2, pick up between 2 and 3, keep 3, and keep 4. So keep 1, keep 2, pick up between 2 and 3, keep 3, and keep 4. Very nice. I really love this little pattern that it created. All right, so now we're on 5. We're going to keep 1, drop 2, keep 3, drop 4, keep 5. So keep 1, keep the white threads, Don't drop those. Drop 2, keep 3, drop 4, keep 5. So there we go. All right, so our next one, and we just did that one. This one, it looks like we're all white. We have 4 pattern threads up, but we're going to drop them all and only have white threads up. So you pull all your threads up. Yes, I have 4. I'm going to just drop every one of them. So I'm going to drop 1, keep the white, drop the blue, keep the white, drop the blue, keep the white, drop the blue. And there, I only have white threads up. And next I am doing 5 up. I'm going to drop 1, keep 2, drop 3, keep 4, drop 5. So I'm going to drop 1, keep 2, drop 3, keep 4, drop 5. There we go. Next, right here, I'm going to keep all 4 pattern threads up. So I should have 4 up. I do. I just throw my shed. The next one, I should have 5 threads. I'm going to drop, keep, drop, keep, drop. 5 up, I'm going to drop, keep, drop, keep, and drop the last one. And then last on my list is drop all the blue and keep just white. So I'm just going to drop every blue. Drop and drop. And again, just white up. And we have completed our entire pattern segment here, which looks pretty much identical to our pattern, written pattern here. Now that we've completed our top row right here, you just start again from the bottom. So the next row I do will be this row right here, row number 1. And it should look very uniform over and over and over again, just like that. So there you have it, my tutorial on how to Baltic style pickup weave. I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any questions, feel free to leave your comments below. I will get to them as soon as possible. And in the meantime, happy weaving, and like and subscribe if you like. Give me a thumbs up. And other than that, we'll see you next time. Bye.